What we're going to be doing today is graphing a two-dimensional inequality. Two-dimensional means you have an x and a y. So we're going to have an x and a y axis. If it was one-dimensional, it means you just have one letter, like an x, and you would just have a number line. So if we're going to graph a two-dimensional inequality, let's take a look at the question. Y is less than 2/3 x plus 5. First thing that we have to do is ask yourself, is y alone? Yes, it is. There is nothing else on the left-hand side of the inequality other than y. So that's great. We take a piece of graph paper, and if you hit pause, you can print out the screen and get the graph paper from there, or have graph paper ready before you started the lesson. So here we're going to graph y is less than 2/3 x plus 5. Where do we start? We start at the y-intercept, and the y-intercept is plus 5. There's the xy axis where they cross. We're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and put a point there. The next thing that we do is we use the slope, which is the number next to the x, is being multiplied by the x, and that tells us our rise and our run. Starting at the point that we just finished on the y-axis, we're going to go up to over 3. It's up to over 3 because 2 is over 3 in the slope. At that point, we do it again. Up to over 3. We always go 3 to the right, or however many to the right. If it was negative, that means we're going to go down so many and to the right. Now that we have these 3 points plotted, we have to ask ourselves, is it going to be a solid line or a dotted line? That tells us it's going to be a dotted line. If it was less than or equal to, then it would be a solid line. Since it is only less than or only greater than, it means we are going to do a dotted line. So you can draw in your dotted line, and I am going to draw in mine. I'm going to make that a little darker. After labeling it with the equation, making it a dotted line, having arrows at both ends of the lines, and labeling the x and y axis, you might think we're finished, but we are not. We have to do shading since it's an inequality. What does that mean? It means that either below the line or above the line, we're going to shade. I am going to take a point, and it's not going to be random. I'm picking the easiest point possible to check. That's the point 0, 0. As long as the line doesn't go through the origin, we can use the point 0, 0. 0 for the x value and 0 for the y value. So everywhere I see an x, I am going to put a 0. And everywhere I see a y, I am going to put the other 0. And I ask myself, is 0 less than 0 plus 5? This 0 came from the fact that 2/3 times 0 is 0. So is 0 less than 5? Yes. If it's yes, that means that this has to be shaded. Well, if this has to be shaded, everything on the same side of the line as the smiley face has to be shaded. So I am going to shade that side of the line. If it was no, that means I would have to shade the opposite side of the line. Now I am finished. I want you to try graphing this two-dimensional inequality. Hit pause now, and then I'll show you the solution in a few moments. Okay, since the y-intercept is -2, I start at -2. Since the slope is 1/2, that means go up 1 over 2, go up 1 over 2. Since this is just less than, that means that we use a dotted line. I've labeled the x and y axis as well as the equation. I'm going to take a point, and I'm always going to take 0, 0, as long as the line doesn't go through it. I'm going to say, is 0 less than 1/2 times 0 minus 2? Is 0 less than 0 minus 2? Is 0 less than -2? No. So don't shade. Do not shade this side. That's a no. 0, 0 is a no. So the opposite side must be a yes. So I shade that side of the line. Do this question. This is what my answer looks like. And you'll notice that the slope is -3/4. So that means we start at 6, because the intercept was 6, and -3/4 means down 3, 4 to the right. Down 3, 4 to the right. Since the inequality was underlined, it's less than or equal to, notice I'm using a solid line. I labeled the x and y axis. I labeled the equation. The answer was yes, 0 is less than 6, so I shade the origin side or the yes side of the question. Now do this question. Here's my solution to this question. You notice that I still labeled the line. It's a solid line because it says greater than or equal to. It's a negative slope, so it's going downhill. And when I plugged in the point 0, 0, the answer was no, so I don't shade the origin. I shade the opposite side of the origin, which is where the tie-dyed color is. Now, I want you to play Algebra versus the Cockroach. There's the web page link. I expect you to get to level 6 as a minimum achievement. I'd like to see everyone finish level 7 before June 1st. Make sure you use your first name when prompted because it prints out your name on the grade report. Before you leave, print out a report at the end of this class period, or if this is for homework, do it for homework tonight and print out a copy of that report to be handed in. Again, your name will be printed on the top of the page. Good luck and have fun.